Well, Mukutoy, it's a privilege and a joy to meet with you face to face. I received your email about the challenges that you faced and how you were able to overcome that. And I just want to take this opportunity for you to share your testimony. Tell us, what did you go through? What happened? And how did things change for you? So just tell us straight. Go ahead.
Okay. So, firstly, I should say that thanks to the author of this book, because I got this book in 2007. I hope you're able to see my signature and everything there. So, I got it in 2007. That is on the 31st of May. That's about 13 years ago from 2020. So, I was visited by a literature evangelist who was selling these books. And then I bought Tragedy to Triumph and then a children's Bible as well. And then I wasn't married then. So when that man came to sell the books and everything else, I think we were just, my friend and I were just buying these books out of, maybe excitement, or maybe you feel, okay, let me support, my fellow Adventists and the like. So after that, in 2016, July, I got married. And then because I was slightly above being a youth, we have certain beliefs that, if you delay to get married, there are issues of maybe you need to start a family as soon as possible and stuff like that here. So immediately we started trying for a baby. So 1 year lapsed, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and I think we're in the 5th year now. So at about, I think when we were like 2 years in marriage to 3 years, we said, I think this is not working. So let's start trying, going to the medical hospitals. And we did the relevant tests that, were required to find out whether there was any issue. And fortunately enough, they couldn't find anything wrong with both of us. So we kept on trying until my husband said, you know what, I think the best thing for us to do is we try to go through IVF. But then it's pretty expensive and we couldn't really afford it. So out of frustration, we said, let's just leave it. And then when the time is right, this thing is going to come through. So in May 2020, I discovered that we had conceived. It was an excitement because my husband had just lost his job. So we're looking forward to something that would give us some sense of joy and hope amidst, certain frustrations of life and the like. And then we started preparing, for our baby to come. We started preparing ourselves and everything else, told family members, and then everyone was so excited because you can imagine my husband is a firstborn in his family and all his siblings have got children. So it's something that both our families looked up to, like they looked forward to having this child come through. And then my family as well, you would have the elders ask you, what is wrong with you? You've delayed, your young sisters have got children, your young brothers have got children, but what's happening with you? So when it came, it was more like, well, we've been vindicated from, others that would say we've got issues and stuff like that. Going the morning of the 20th of September, I woke up, started feeling a bit sick. So I thought maybe it was just one of those, pregnancy illnesses and stuff, because I was 5 months pregnant at that time, going into my 6th month. And I had my doctor's appointment like 3 days before the 20th of September. So I woke up feeling a bit sick and, uncomfortable. So I woke my husband up, and then he suggested we go to the hospital. Was taken to the hospital, taken into ER. We discovered that the baby was gone. There was no fetal heartbeat, and it was so devastating because we really looked forward to this child coming, and then I was only told it was going to be a boy. and they showed me the baby, and it was so unbelievable. For once, I felt like maybe God has failed me. Maybe, I wasn't praying enough. Maybe I didn't have faith. I had so many questions around coming through in my mind that I could not get answers for. And it was so devastating. It was really devastating because there were a lot of things, like how will society look at you? You've waited this long, to have this pregnancy, and then this happens. Where is God in all this? But I went through the right procedure. Even if I delayed to get married, I waited knowing that God's time will come through. And then I also waited another 4 to 5 years to have a child. And then why did he allow it in the first place? Maybe I shouldn't even have gotten pregnant, at the onset of it all. So, whilst in hospital, I had a lot of people come to visit us. Others would come to encourage us. But, sometimes you just feel like they don't understand my pain. They don't know what I'm going through. So others would come, others would give you traditional advice, others would give you Christian advice, others would give you worldly advice. Others would say, no, maybe you're not doing the right thing, maybe this. So I reached a point where I think I got so confused because I didn't even know what to believe and who to believe in at that point. So after I was discharged from hospital, my elder brother suggested with his wife that my husband and I should go and have a 1 week of prayer at his home. So we said, okay, we will go to your house. And for sure, we had a week of prayer. Apparently, he and his wife, I think that was like, that's 1 year after I bought this book, they had lost their daughter, their firstborn daughter. So I don't know how this book, reached in his hands. So at the time when they were going through issues as well, after the loss of their daughter, this book is what they read to give them some sense of hope and everything. So they kept it after reading it. So he gave it to me and said, this is a book that I got from you. And I hope that this is the right time for you to read it. So I hesitantly just got it and said, well, I think I have so many books at home. I'll see what time I can have to read the book. So one evening, I got it and said, well, let's see what's in there. So the first page that I opened, I noticed that I'm actually the one that bought this book in 2007. So I was like, well, this book is actually mine and not his. So that's how come my husband and I dedicated our 2 weeks of evening worship to reading the book. And the first story we read gave us more excitement into wanting to read the next story. And we discovered there were some stories that were actually more like our experience. And we continued reading. And in the process of reading, sometimes you'd feel sad about certain stories, but if you look at the ending, you find that, at the end of each story, God was there, you see?
Yeah.
So I actually told my husband that he deliberately left some pages for the notes. So after we finished reading this book, I said, I think he needed us to write our story after we finish reading. So I'm yet to start writing our story on these pages that you left for us so that, the book can be complete. Yeah, so that's what happened, We haven't really fully recovered because, these things, you recover with time, so to say. But I should testify that the book Tragedy to Triumph has actually played a very big part in helping us heal, with this loss. One thing I realized is that the word of God will always be new, You can imagine this book was bought like 13 years ago, and then it has proved to be useful now in my life. You see?
Yes.
So it's not something that, and after we finished reading the book, I told my husband that I was going to look for you. So I was like, no, it's not possible. You can't find him. So I was like, no, I'll get back to you and tell you that I've found him, you know? So I went on Google, checked on your name. There were a lot of Richard Dalleys. I was like, no, I'll know him. I might not have his picture. So I Googled and Googled. I went on Facebook, I checked until finally I saw on some Adventist page. I said, he's the one. So I went on BUC and then managed to send an email on info, explained that I was desperately looking for you. And that's how come they got hold of, I think, your secretary, and that's how come we managed to catch you.
Well,
Yeah.
that is an amazing story, Mukutoi. And first of all, I am so joyful of the way in which you've come through this. With you still have a smile, and I know that it's not easy. And
Yeah.
but I admire your courage and your determination not to give up, not to allow this
Exactly.
enemy to get the upper hand in your life.
Yeah.
I believe you have frustrated him because he may have used this to separate you from your God and to get you
Yeah.
eternally discouraged. But I just thank God for your perseverance and your desire to keep holding on to him. And
Exactly.
we just pray all of God's blessings upon you and your husband. Um, I believe that that blank page at the end there is the next chapter, and
Exactly.
and that chapter has not yet been fulfilled. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so don't write too quickly.
Exactly. Exactly. No, we've kept them.
Yeah, but I'm honored, as the author of the book. I write the book, as I said, many years ago. And while you are being inspired by it, who knows what I was doing? Maybe eating, sleeping, resting, working. That is the power of the written word. It never loses its inspiration. Someone somewhere is being blessed by the written word. And I'm glad that you and your husband found encouragement from this book.